Just like Muhammad Ali, all those people that had such an influence on my life, I like to have that kind of influence on the world. Not just on America, but around the world.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Empire, where we like to engage with everyone from pastors to actors, rappers to trappers, and everybody in between. And guess what? We have another great guest for today. But before we get into it, please, if you haven't already, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're working on building it, and we're doing great things with interesting people, having interesting interviews, and we're loving every single minute of it. If you guys didn't know, my name's Antonio D. Miles. I am your host for today. And like I said, we have another great guest for the day. And let's get right into this individual. He's an artist, an entrepreneur, and so many other things. And so instead of letting me talk about him, we're going to find out who he is and what he does. And that gentleman's name is Maurice Howard. Welcome to the Empire, Maurice.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you very much. That was a nice interview, a nice introduction.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. How you doing today, Maurice?
I'm doing good. I was a little under the weather last week, but I'm good now. And then I'm in good energy, so I feel pretty good.
Got you. You feel like good enough to dance type of energy?
Yeah. Interesting. You know, I like to dance too, so that's interesting that you asked me that.
Okay, so if I say, let's groove tonight, dun, 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 the spice of life.
Okay, so you talking about Michael Jackson, right?
What?
Yeah.
Let this groove put you to this thing.
You know what's interesting about music?
Yeah.
Is that I have a different outlook on it than people younger than me.
Gotcha.
Because see, with me, music became a thing I used to use to go roller skating more than going to parties. When I discovered the roller skating part of it, then I wasn't too interested in going to parties.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd rather go skate and dance to the music.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the artist was Earth, Wind, and Fire that I was singing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
But you know, it's probably the way I sang it because...
No, I just didn't know. You don't have to make excuses for yourself.
Gotcha. No. The reason why is because I say that because I remember I was at this class and I was singing. Oh God. I think it's she's a bad man, but no. Anyway, I was singing. I think his name's Carl Carlton.
Carl Carlton. Yeah.
Yes, I was singing
that. I know.
I was singing Carl Carlton, and I was like singing it for this guy, and he was like, yeah, that's Carl Carlton, but it sounds like Michael Jackson the way you're singing it. And I was like, okay.
Well, that's because of the influence, see. A lot of people understand Carl Carlton got his influence from Michael Jackson.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, no, I know so. I said,
wow.
I'm older than you, so I'm 73.
Okay.
So I know what was going on prior to that time.
Okay.
And during that time, okay? There was a lot of songs that different artists would make, and then the music would come out, and then no one knew basically that artist was the originator of that song because it got popularized through the singer.
True.
You know, just like what's her name, Shaka Khan.
Okay.
When she came out with that song that was so famous, and then next thing you know, nobody knows that Stevie Wonder wrote the song. It was either Stevie Wonder or it was Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But because she made it so popular, nobody knew, and they don't care because they're getting money, they're getting paid.
Hey, in the back end, right?
Yeah, so you don't even have to know who I am.
That's that part. Shout out to Shaka Khan. She's an amazing drummer, by the way. I didn't even know she played drums.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, she plays drums.
I used to roller skate with her brother, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, back in the day, on Santa Monica, there was a big skating ring. We had different nights, like country western night, soul night, Motown night, that type of thing. But they got busted for selling alcohol to a minor.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, and that was probably one of the most fun skating rinks because you could go there, rent a booth, have food. You could look out this big glass when everybody's skating. There was alcohol. It was a trip.
A good time. You know what? Now that I know that you like skating, I was gonna surprise people and talk to you about it, but they actually have a little skating ring around here that they pop up with shout out to Night Skate, and maybe I'll hit you up next time they have one and put you on some skates.
My daughter told me about that. I was like, where? Where in San Bernardino do they have like a little skating rink?
Yeah, I think he's starting to do it now in
Oh,
San
okay.
Bernardino. So if you're still down to
No,
boogie on
I
some
still
skates,
roll, man.
Yeah.
I still roll.
they might be playing death metal though, but I guess it'll still work, right?
Well, no. Not. I'm serious because see that had a lot to do with the vibe.
I know.
You know, it just it'll turn me off. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just playing. They might play a little bit. Maybe we could do some requests for the DJ. We could probably do some requests.
I'm quite sure they'll accommodate everybody that's there, though.
Got you.
Yeah.
You said you used to skate with Shaka Khan's brother. His name was Mark.
Mark.
Was
Yeah.
his last name? Was it Mark Khan? Was that his
I
name?
have no idea. You know, in those days, you didn't even think about stuff like that.
Got you.
You met somebody. I'm Maurice. That's Mark. This is John. This is whoever. You know.
And you just keep it pushing.
Keep it pushing.
Like
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So Maurice, for people who may not know who you are and the things that you do, can you please tell us all who you are and the things that you do?
Who I am. Wow, it's interesting. I'm a 73-year-old visual artist. I paint. I draw. I basically engage in anything that I find creative. Okay, whether it's skating, dancing. I've even finished furniture. You know, it just my mind is like whatever I can figure out how to do, that's what I want to do. I want to see how creative I could be with it, you know. Right now I'm working on an illustration of a book for a lady. It's her biography.
Cool.
So that's kind of interesting how people see their lives, and then you have to sort of bring this to life in on a visual sense.
Yeah.
But basically I'm an artist. I'm
Okay.
somebody who loves to create, whether it's I'm in my garden, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm driving, it's just a sense of always coming up with ideas about how to make the world a better place or more interesting to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, that's like kind of the job of an artist, is to kind of speak and bring love and light to the darkness of the world, to the people, basically. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening.
Got you.
I'm just
And so,
listening,
like,
know.
because, and this is just my opinion, I think artists have a role and responsibility to kind of express to people what they might not be strong enough to express themselves, and to also bring a place of comfort, relaxation, hope, even maybe social justice. Art is broad in what it can cover, but it hits realms and levels that most people may not be able to say and speak, but everybody can relate to in one form or another.
Okay.
Is that making sense?
Yeah, I did. I think my first solo exhibition in Riverside was through Urge Palette. Fritz Aragon, I guess, is the what you would call the CEO of that guy from Philippines,
Okay.
who I met prior to him opening up his art store, and I was impressed by him because of his knowledge of art materials. Because I went to buy some art materials one time in a store he was working. And the people didn't seem to know exactly what I wanted, but he was like, hey, come here, what do you need? And so I told him I need this. So it was very easy for him to go pick out things and say, hey, check this out, try this, try that. And I began to recognize he knew his stuff, you know? So I got really interested in him, and then next thing I know, he actually opened up a store. I mean, an art store, which made it good for the artists in the area because we didn't have to go all the way out to the mall to go buy our paints and stuff. And then he knew what he was doing. That was the other thing, you know. He didn't just open up an art store and you go in and you wonder if the people know what the hell you're talking about,
Yeah.
you know.
He was probably an artist himself. That's probably
And he's an artist himself, very good artist. Matter of fact, he's really very humble about his art, you know. It's a group of guys in Urge Palette. And so there's Pave Avacedo, okay. There's Elijah, there's Miguel, there's all these guys that are there that have become part of my little artistic family,
Okay.
you know. So they have a lot of respect for me when I come in. It's just like you can just see the room lights up, and that makes me feel good, because I'm an older guy now. So to be around these young people who don't, like it, I don't know. I guess you get this feeling that sometimes you're around young people, they don't want to be bothered with you, but it's just totally different with them. They want to listen to me. They want to hear my stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think for young people that think like that, they're probably, I guess, two things: either ignorant and not understanding that there's a wealth of knowledge that we can get from our elders.
Yes.
All right. Or they might be just low-key haters.
That could be the case too.
You know what I mean? But I think anyone who's smart, who's with anybody who's been in the game longer, like why not listen to them, right? Be all ears, as they say. And so, Maurice, can you give us all like a brief story of where you were born, how you grew up, basically all the way up to where we are today?
Okay.
As brief as you can.
As far as I can go back, it's probably about 2 years old. And I was born in Waco, Texas.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there like a shooting there at like one time?
Yes and no. When I say yes and no, it's because of the area, the town that really it happened in was so close to Waco that they just call it Waco. But it wasn't in Waco. Okay, but it was very close to Waco.
Gotcha.
It's just like Linwood and Compton, and they would say Compton before they would say Linwood. That kind of thing.
I got you.
I grew up and I was always a very curious kind of kid, I can still remember being on my bed and then taking the strings out of the comforter and just playing with it.
Out of the comforter?
Yeah, I'd take all the string out and just make like little animals and stuff, I still remember that. And later on, as I was getting older, my mother and father, they separated, and my mother remarried again. And she married this guy in the service. His name was Claude Walker. My mother's name was Coletta M. Mackey Howard at the time, and then it changed to Coletta Mackey Walker. Okay, so I have two brothers. I have a brother and a sister from that marriage. And from my father's marriage to my mother, I don't have now, but I had 2 brothers and a sister. Okay, so I'm the third child. I basically grew up in a little kid in France. We lived in France for a while. I went to school there. And then coming back to the States, my stepdad bought a house in Riverside here, which still exists today. And then we lived in that house for a while, and then we went back to Colorado and lived. I went to school in Colorado for a while, okay? So being in the military, you tend to travel a lot. So I lived in France, and then coming back to the States, and then living in Colorado, and living in California. And as I got older, I think we gravitated more towards back to Riverside, because he had bought a house in Riverside, okay, because he was retiring in, I think, 1960, 61, he retired from the service and bought a little house here in Riverside. And I remember coming back, and we couldn't find a place to stay the night till we could go back to the house in the morning. And we had a driver, a taxi cab driver, who really felt bad for us, because everywhere we'd go, they would change the sign to no vacancy, or if we went up to them, they said, well, we're full. So I had never really...
what year do you think this was?
1950... I think about 1958, 1959.
Gotcha. And you think that in your opinion, would you say that these places were actually had open spaces, but they weren't allowing you guys in?
Oh yeah, it was obvious, Cause the taxi cab driver, he said this is not right, so he turned his meter off. Because he already knew. He was going to do us any good to keep going here, going there. When he already knew they're not going to take you. Okay, but he was a cool dude. So we end up finding a lady that my mother knew, and we stayed at her house the whole night until we got up the next morning and went to our own house. You know. So it was just that Riverside was very, very, very racist back in those days. You know, we had growing up. You know, I remember going downtown. Me and my buddy used to go downtown, and we would purposely speak to white people. Like, how you doing today? And they would just ignore you. No, they just ignore it. Like you didn't even say anything.
Okay, like you weren't even there.
Like you weren't even there.
Got you.
The mall at that time was actually the first mall ever built in the United States. Riverside was a prototype. That outside area that we call now that little on Main Street. Yeah, that was actually supposed to have been the prototype for all malls in the country.
The country, okay.
Yeah. Didn't work that way, but that's kind of how it started out. And then my parents that I grew up, and their idea about how to handle prejudice was that white people didn't know any better because they were taught that. You know, their parents didn't know what to teach them, so they taught them how to be like that. So I basically had a little compassion for them because I couldn't understand how people could be grown and don't know how to maneuver through life, you know?
Yeah, with respect.
With respect, you know. And so I never grew up thinking of myself as less than. Even in school, my interest has always been creative, always been art, you know? So if I found somebody in the classroom who was very talented, I didn't care where they came from, that's the person I wanted to learn I wanted to learn them. I wanted to learn how to be like that. I wanted to be good like that. That was my thing. I always been like that. So I was born in Waco, Texas, basically traveled as a kid. I did a lot of things that I would say a lot of black kids don't experience, you know.
Okay.
I lived
Especially
in Europe.
during that time?
Yeah, oh yeah, living in Europe and stuff and actually speaking the language and then coming back to this country and then losing the language, you know. So,
because you had no one to practice with.
yeah, you know how it is. You know, if there's nobody that speak a different language, then you lose it.
Yeah.
You know.
That'd have been cool if you still spoke French.
Yeah, I probably got myself in a lot of trouble though.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd been talking to women. And
Hey, you know, dang, too bad you. How far away were you from New Orleans? They speak French there, right?
yeah, well, yeah. And yet it's interesting you say that because I have a lot of relatives in New Orleans.
You have a lot of what in New Orleans?
Relatives.
Oh, relatives. Okay.
Yeah. So, 'cause like I said, I'm from Texas, so you have that sort of Texas, New Orleans connection, you know? Yeah.
So how did you find your love and purpose in pursuing art?
It's how it made me feel, you know? You
Do you remember how old you were and
Oh
where
yeah,
you were?
yeah. I was a little kid. I was maybe. I had to be about 4 years old. It's just the idea that this world offered so much creativity to me. You know, just looking around at things, at the animals and the people and the things that people made, and I was like, wow, I was kind of interested in that. Like, where all this stuff come from? You know?
Yeah.
So then I started out, I remember drawing the cartoons from the newspapers.
Okay.
Yeah, so back in those days, that was not really a popular thing for little kids to do, but I was, you know, my first drawing pad was a photo album.
Cool.
Yeah, back in the day, you get these photo albums, and you had to put these little black things in, you put the pictures inside of them and stuff, but instead of doing that, I would just take it and draw. Yeah, that was my drawing tablet. Yeah,
cool.
I liked the paper, the manila color. I still remember the color of the paper, manila colored paper. So I do all these drawings and stuff. And as I got older, I remember I went to the library and I brought home a life drawing book with nude women in it.
Okay.
And that didn't go over too well with my mom.
Gotcha. How old were you?
I was in high school.
Okay.
I must have been 15.
She's like, boy, what are you doing with this?
Yeah, it was kind of like, nah.
He's like, why are the pages stuck together, Maurice?
No, it wasn't like that. Well, like I bought that book home. Boy, you wrong. No, I bought the book home because I really wanted to learn the anatomy of women.
Okay,
Yeah.
in particular.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
women in particular.
You definitely weren't going the Michelangelo way.
No, not really. I found both. It's just that as a boy, I became more interested in women than men.
Got you.
That was my attraction.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So later on, of course, doing life drawing classes, you brought in men, you brought in women, but I've always liked to draw obese women because they have so much content.
Okay.
Okay, they have a lot more content.
What do you mean when you say content?
Well, see, when you draw, it's always interesting to have different layers, different tones, different line angles, and stuff like that. You
Okay.
get that from somebody who's obese. Okay.
Got you.
I also began to really get into the men, the muscular men.
Okay.
Okay, because now you got all these different forms that you didn't see growing up. Basically men were not like that when I grew up.
Got you. Like The Rock or something.
Yes, yes. And then from then I started getting interested in sports. So that now I got to find a creative way to express this.
Got you. Like the physical aspect.
Yes. So
Okay.
now I started wrestling, and the reason I started wrestling is because at a young age I used to get picked on a lot because being little. People always bullying me and stuff like that. I remember going to school, and there was a guy that used to make me walk around the block. He wouldn't let me walk directly to
The
where I
house.
had to go. I had to go all the way around the block. Okay, so
Bullies.
you get to a point where you get tired of that. So, I'm telling my parents, my mother she's the kind, just get you a brick or something and you
Crack his head open?
you crack him upside the head. She was
Okay.
that kind of person. Yeah, yeah. If you really want to go to school and don't want to have any trouble, just wait till he turns his back. And I guess people would think it's very violent now, but she said that's how you do it.
You got to stand up to the bully.
Yeah. So I still didn't do it. I didn't have the courage to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started wrestling, and that's really what changed my my fear of guys, of bullies.
Because you could defend yourself now.
Yes, yeah, I could defend myself. And after that, a lot of the guys in Riverside that I was afraid of, I lost my fear of. And I, to this day, nobody's bothered me.
Got you.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm 73 now, so it was 15 to here. I think I've had maybe 1 or 2 fights in my whole life.
Got you. So you could still suplex someone.
I can do what?
You could still suplex someone if you needed to.
Oh, you know how to do that. You heard about that, huh?
I mostly know it from WWF, WWE wrestling.
Okay.
You ever watch any of that with the Stone Cold and stuff like that?
My stepfather was a big fan of that.
Hulk Hogan and stuff?
No, well, in those days it wasn't Hulk Hogan. See, you have to understand we're going back to Gorgeous George and Ricky
Okay.
Bell, Ricky Starr. You probably don't know who these people are.
The names sound familiar.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
those were the guys that really started the whole thing. Matter of fact, Gorgeous George was, he wore his nice hair and he wore a cape with sequins. Today he would be flamboyant.
Okay.
They might even think he was gay today. But he wasn't gay. He was just that was his
His style.
which I think Little Richard made comment to. He was kind of impressed by him.
Okay, interesting.
Kind of used his kind of presentation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, going back to the art, Maurice, you obviously started doing sports to get physical active, but this is in high school. So when did you decide to do higher education with art and that whole path?
Can you elaborate on what you mean higher education? with
So higher
art?
education means after high school, education after high school.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm in high school, and art wasn't really a big thing to me. I mean,
Okay.
I could do it, but it wasn't, the sports was more or less. The art sort of became things I would do for people. They want me if they had like political things. They would call me in. Can you draw this? Can you do this? And I would do it, and that was kind of it. And then I became interested in doing sort of political stuff during that era of the Black Panthers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now I was going into college and I wanted to do something meaningful with the art, that kind of thing. Had never did like an exhibition or anything like that. There were other artists in Riverside, and I really like to make a point on this one, is that the people who influenced me were in Riverside were a guy named John Edgerton. We called him Baby Edgerton.
Okay.
There was Leonard Lisby. Then there was this white dude named Carl Marshall. Okay. Norris McCoy was probably had the biggest influence on me in terms of art, because this guy came out of prison with a little black book, and he always kept it with him. And he'd come by the house because he was interested in my cousin. He liked my cousin.
Oh, he's trying to hook up with your cousin.
Yeah, he's trying to hook up with my cousin.
Okay.
And so he would come by. He always had this little black book, and one day he set it down, and I opened it up and looked in it. Mm-hmm. It was all this surreal art he had created while he was in prison. And he seen me look at it. He came over and he grabbed the book and he said, "Give me my book. Don't ever look through my book again."
Yeah.
But he had this voice like, what's the guy that did the Star Wars?
George Lucas?
No, not George.
Oh, you're talking about
the brother.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl. He had that kind of voice. That very. He shook the room when he talked. Like that. So it was kind of scary, Mm-hmm. But I had got the images in my head. I then knew, I know what I want to do now. I was so interested in how surrealism was a whole different world. Mm-hmm. So then I started going to find books, I found books from Salvador Dali and M.C. Escher and all these guys that were doing this strange art, And I said, yeah, that's what I want to do. The sort of classical art I wasn't too interested in. I still not. Mm-hmm. Portrait art, I never was too crazy about that. It's just I figure there's a lot of people doing it. I mean, I don't see the point in it, but anyway, I guess somebody likes it.
Yeah, and you should definitely pursue what your interest is anyway.
Yeah, so my interest in art became more of a surreal interest. I tell people now that I'm a surreal artist with an emphasis on design.
Okay.
And the design that I use in my art is really based on an ancient Chinese design, which means longevity of life. And it's called tidal wave.
Okay.
So in my pieces, you will see me looping this design, looping, because it's sort of like this tidal wave that's coming in.
Gotcha.
Okay, because life comes in and life goes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned, you said Chinese influence?
Yes.
Because there's a character, and I'm not sure if he has a name that I saw on your page, and he kind of looks like a Afro-Asian character.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, I guess since we're here, what's your thoughts on Afro-Asian culture, Afro-Asian influence, the Afro-Asiatic man, as they say? Have you heard of these terms before?
Yeah, I've heard of them. It's interesting that you asked me that. There was a period in my life where I started creating these characters. I call them my ancient ancestors. And for some strange reason, they all came out sort of Asian looking, but they were all like black, Asian-like kind of, When I say black, I mean just the color of skin, darkness and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not so much, it's not a nationality to me, it's really color of skin,
mm-hmm.
So when I say black people, it's not a nationality, it's just a color of skin. I started creating these people from a technique that I call half face, which has been around for God knows how long. When I say half face, you take the half of the paper, fold it, draw half the face, and then you burnish it and you get the other half, right? Mm. That's how I created these faces. So I was fascinated with them. I mean, I created a lot of faces like that, I still do to this day. And I love that combination of Asian and African. I like the look. which is interesting because a few years ago, I would say maybe 6, 7 years ago. Is that your car? Okay. I went to a convention, and in the convention, I was with my buddy Charles Bibbs, who's been a very, very big supporter of me.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. And while we're there, this young lady comes over to my booth, and when I look up and I see who's there, I'm like, it's like one of the pictures that I've created. This sister had this Asian black look about her, and I was fascinated, man. Oh, you don't know. It's like I seen something come alive,
That you created.
that I created, yeah. To this day, I still have the drawing I did of her, and that young lady's name is Portia Dillard. Yeah, so that was like a dream come true, because when you create something and then it manifests and becomes real,
Yeah.
that's a whole different level you're on now.
When you get to find it in reality.
Yes, I was like, no, I can't lose this. I can't let this get away from me.
That reminds me of, there's a sculptor based out of Pasadena named Chooks.
I know Chooks.
And, I'd ask him, I had him on as a guest, shout out to you, Chooks. And, like where he gets these images from and stuff like that, these women that he's folded. And I think he experienced the same thing. I think he created somebody and then he actually saw the person in person as well. So I kind of...
It's surreal. It's real surreal. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you call that collection your ancestors?
Ancient ancestors.
Ancient ancestors. Yeah. And I love that, because maybe there is a correlation. Maybe they are your ancient ancestors that you're drawing.
It's not even a maybe. I mean, that's the one thing you learn about creativity. These thoughts are not just coming from nowhere.
Got you.
I've been able to tap into it. Actually, the exhibition, My Ancient Ancestors, was my idea of what it would be like if no one was to keep you from being creative. What kind of clothes would you create? What would you look like? How would you talk? How would you present yourself? Because there would be no colonization. There would be nothing to get in your way of creativity. So that's how I came up with these other creatures.
Okay.
Yeah, I just created them. I mean, it's like my thing was never about trying to be like Africans. I wasn't trying to create African designs and stuff, because I figured everybody is a tribe. I had to figure out my own tribe.
Yeah.
My own style.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I find myself different as an artist, because I'm really not trying to be Afrocentric in that sense. What I create, maybe people could say, okay, it's Afrocentric, but that's not my total focus.
Gotcha. It's not your motive.
Yeah, I'm really trying to find something different here. I'm trying to do something different, So, of course, I get ideas and from my ancient ancestors, That's just the way it is. Things exist, and I need to make sure I bring these things forth so people can understand them. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I had a show that went on for about maybe 2 months at Urge Palette. Yeah.
Got you. Based off the ancient ancestors.
Based off my ancient ancestors. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And there's 2 questions that I wanted to ask. I was going to ask more about Salvador Dali and his influence on your art, but I think you kind of addressed that for the most part. Or did you want to say more about?
No.
Yeah. But another thing I want to address, because you say that your artwork's not based off of Afrocentrism. So for people who've never seen your art before, how would you define your artistic style?
Just like I said earlier, I'm a surrealist with an emphasis on design.
Okay.
So basically, a lot of my images are based on the designs I can use to make it interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I really love about your style, and it's the colors. Most of your pieces are really vibrant in colors, right? And these are mostly done by hand, right? You're doing all these colors by hand, right?
Everything I do is by hand. It's interesting you say that. I had a gentleman visit me the other night, and he was asking me, is this all done by hand? I said, yeah. Everything. I mean, I don't know why that amazes people.
Well, because now we live in such a technological age where everyone's using the technology to make things move a different way. And so it's kind of like the artisan skill. It's becoming less and less known. But when you see it, you're like, wow, I appreciate this guy made a chair from a block of wood. He just didn't go to IKEA and piece it together. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the impressiveness comes from, in my opinion.
Yeah, and seeing then with my mentor Charles Bibbs, he sort of challenged me to do different things when I was starting out with him in 2008. Because I had at that point I was a dental technician.
Okay. You weren't
Yes.
even doing art full time at that time.
Oh no. And so basically I had got fired, and I decided, okay, well I better do something, and it just happened to. I was on the street one day. I had a girlfriend, and over by a street called Cranston in Riverside, off of 14th Street, I think it was. Well, anyway, University.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Finish your thought. You had this girlfriend.
Yeah, so I'm going to her house, and I met this guy in a Volvo.
Okay.
And he's drunk.
Okay.
But he's blowing Ray Charles music, and I love Ray Charles.
Oh man, you can't go wrong with Ray.
Yeah, so I go over to the guy, and I have my tablet with me, and I'm like, I'm grooving, and he's looking at me and goes, hey, you think you're an artist, huh? And I say, yeah, you ain't no artist. You know, he said, Charles Bibbs, an artist. You know, his brother's name was Paul Scott.
Okay.
He's a really good friend of mine now. I love Paul Scott. So I'm like, oh, I know, you don't know Charles Bibbs. And at that time, Charles had a place, like a little warehouse where he did events and stuff at Riverside on 3rd Street.
Okay.
So he told me, he said, well, if you know Charles Bibbs, you need to go over there and blah, blah, blah. And he's over there, and he didn't think I really knew Charles. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know Charles. I had met Charles. He had come to my house when I was younger, when I lived in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And I took him and another buddy out, and we went to Fat Burger, and we had hamburgers and stuff. But that was pretty much the thing. You know, he's trying to get me to be an artist, and I'm like, nah, because I'm getting paid every week to be a dental technician.
Got you. People's teeth were more important.
Well, the money was more important.
Got you.
See, that was my security. So I decided, no, I'll leave that alone, you know. And I'm glad I didn't do it. I mean, I probably would have been, I don't know where I would have been, but I wouldn't have been where I'm at now.
Yeah, two different stories.
So I went back. In my mind, I'm like thinking, wow, okay, I'm gonna meet Charles again. So I go there, and I go inside, and I was like, how you doing? And he said, I remember you. You know, it wasn't like a real, like, huggy kind of thing. It was kind of like, I remember you. And so, you know, he kind of welcomed me in. Then there was some other people there I didn't know were there. And so that's how I got back in contact with Charles and started working with him. And then he just started challenging me with projects. You know, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Let me see how it comes out. One of the first projects he had me do was, he had me do this lady. And so I went home and I drew this lady, and I brought it back, and I said, what do you think? And he said, nah, this ain't you. I'm like, what do you mean it's not me? I mean, I'm spent all night long drawing this lady, man, this face. Mm-hmm. He said, nah, this ain't you. He said, take it back home and do you. So, you know, I go back home, and...
So he already knew what your voice was.
Oh, yeah, he knew my voice. I didn't know my voice.
He knew before you knew.
Oh, yeah, he's an artist. You can see it. Mm-hmm. It's just like somebody that's drawing portraits all the time, but you know really their thing is something totally different. Mm-hmm. They feel more secure with the portraits, though.
Got you.
They're scared to give you them. I was scared to give people me. So anyway, I go back home, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell is this man talking about. And I'm sitting there, and I'm beating my head. I'm like, wow, what does he want? And then it came to me, it ain't about what he wants. It's about what do I want?
Yeah.
What do I really want to do with the art? So then I just started doing this really strange stuff to the face. I did all the designs and stuff, and then I told him, hey, check this out. He said, yeah, that's you.
There it is.
That's you. That's you. That was my first piece that I sold. It was part of a series called Women. Wait a minute. Women. Anyway, it was different women that had animal characteristics. Like she was a zebra.
Okay.
Okay, and in the wild, the zebra is a very pretty animal, but they don't have any defense. So of course the lions and the alligators, they're just food.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a woman at a party or some place where there's a gathering and men are looking at different women. When they look at the zebra women, they find them very attractive. So it's just
they want to bite.
Yeah, they bite, they go bite.
Yeah.
There ain't too much they can do.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Then from her name was Deborah, to represent the zebra in women.
Okay.
And then I did the leopard woman, and then the zebra woman, not the zebra woman, but the giraffe woman, and then the panda. And all these represent a certain personality in women that sort of had animal traits to them.
Okay.
So like the giraffe was the most powerful woman, because in the wild, giraffe is big and powerful.
Yeah.
And not to say they don't get bothered, but they know how to handle themselves.
Yeah, they kick you, you're dead.
Yeah. So those women I sort of represented as women who were very independent, had their own money, that kind of thing. And they carried them. They didn't need men. It's just basically we were attractive, and we figured out how to do things for ourselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So men basically have a purpose for us if we want to use them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I had another one who was the leopard, who was a very attractive woman. Not as powerful as the zebra, not as powerful as the giraffe, but very smart and attractive.
Yeah.
So those women, basically, they had to sort of let you in,
Yeah. Or
And
call
then-
you to death.
Yes, or they give you hell, okay?
They give you hell. The leopards give you hell, people.
Yeah, so then the last one was the Gothic lady, who was my panda lady.
Okay.
And that was that sister or whatever lady, when you went to a gathering, she sat in the corner. She was mysterious looking. She wasn't ugly, but she was mysterious.
Gotcha.
You wanted to go there, but you didn't want to go there.
Gotcha.
Okay, so those are my 4 women that I did.
I love that, and shout out to you, Charles Bibbs, and we all thank you for all the work you've done and support. You've mentioned so many times that Charles Bibbs has been your mentor.
No, not Ben. He is.
Still your mentor, right? What would you say is one of the most important things that you've learned from Charles Bibbs?
Not to be afraid. And he constantly talks to me about that. Not to be afraid. To know who you are. To be that person. But to be that person, you got to find that person.
Gotcha.
And then when you find that person, then you make sure they put themselves out there,
Gotcha.
Because that's even to this day there's a fear of fame to me. And I was thinking about that earlier before we talked about this, and it's almost like sitting at a table with a bunch of elite people, and you have spoons and forks and stuff set out a certain way, and you're sort of like the person of the hour. And so everybody's getting ready to eat, and you're sort of looking around to figure out which fork or spoon do you pick up first.
Okay.
So fame is like that to me. I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do first, because I'm very conscious of people watching me. But what I realize that people are watching me because they want to see what I pick up, so they can follow suit.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what I'm beginning to realize now.
Gotcha. So the fear of fame is starting to wane away?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. And so No longer, I guess the fear originally sounded like fear of being yourself and expressing yourself naturally who you were. Is that what the fear of getting over with was the advice that Charles Bibbs was giving you?
No, I think it's more or less how people perceive me.
Okay.
Okay,
But we don't care, right?
I care though. See, I care that people. I didn't know what people were thinking, you know. And then it's like, do I handle this right? Did I do that right?
Yeah. Does it
But
matter what they think?
it mattered. Yeah, it mattered. It really mattered.
Why? Why
So
does it matter what they think?
Because that's how I was indoctrinated.
Okay, as a kid.
As a kid, I was indoctrinated like that. If so and so said you was cool, then you was cool. Even growing up with your people, like your buddies and stuff. If so and so said you was cool, you was cool. You know, that's how I came up. Because being a little guy, you know, you always wanted to be part of the group.
Yeah.
You know, until they said you was cool, then you wasn't cool. You was growing up. You know, they had a term called Rudy Poot.
Okay, talk to us about it.
Okay, I have a piece called The Indigenous Rudy Poot. And that was that person who wanted to be part of the group, but nobody's going to really let you in.
The outcast.
Yeah, you was the outcast. You was the Rudy Poot. Okay? Until they stopped calling you Rudy Poot, then you knew you was in. Okay? So, as an adult now, as a person who's been in the world a little bit now, I've experienced different things. I've traveled, been around different kinds of people. I've had my ups and downs. You know, I've learned a lot. You know, and I would say in the last 6-7 years, I learned a lot, and I learned a lot from women. That's what blows my mind. I've learned more from women than I've known from anybody. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So is that Rudy Poot thing still kind of a thing that is happening right now? Or, because I used to hear a lot of the things saying like as people get older, they start to give less of a fuck about what's going on, about what people think. They're like, hey, I don't care. Like I'm older now. I don't care what people think.
Excuse me. That was during that period. That was the terminology. Today, you guys all have your different terminology for Rudy Poots.
Yeah, the outcast.
Yeah. So I don't know what your terminology is today. I remember a few years ago, I didn't even know what smashing meant.
Okay.
Somebody introduced me to the word smashing. I'm like, what?
Like I'm smashing this chick over here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, 'cause that's not what we didn't call it that at all. You know?
No.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot, probably was less vulgar of a term back then. Smashing sounds pretty violent and rough.
No, we did not. It's never. This term is less. This generation, you guys are a lot softer with the term.
Okay, so what was the term back then? He gonna pretend like he don't remember, folks. He gonna pretend. Oh, I don't remember. Oh, all of a sudden. Maurice, we're waiting here.
You know, it's.
Okay, he's worried about being an outcast, folks. He doesn't want to be outcasted by what he.
I don't know, man.
What's the term, Maurice? Give us some historical education.
Okay. Growing up, you know, it was like you hit it.
Okay.
Okay, you hit it. So that was the thing, or you.
We still use hit it. Some people say hit it and quit it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite sure they still. I really can't think of stuff right now. My mind's really not there.
Gotcha. He wasn't ready. He thought it was just gonna be like a little smooth, like
I wasn't ready for that.
Proper interview with the hole.
No, I wasn't.
Like, he's got a button up, so
that.
we're gonna speak all very proper. Yeah, he's a real well-spoken man. We're gonna speak proper. Not talking about hitting it in the past.
No.
So, Maurice, when I look at your art, right? You say surrealism, right?
Yeah.
And when I look at it, people would probably associate it with like psychedelic world, the psychedelic realm. Have you ever, two-parter, have you ever done psychedelics, or have you ever created any artwork under the influence of any type of drug?
Yes.
Okay.
When I was growing up, everybody was like, "Man, if you get high, man, your pictures will really be crazy." Blah blah blah. I mean, all the way up to now, people keep saying the same thing. So, yeah, I got high one time and I couldn't draw though. I mean, I was trying, it interfered with my creativity. So I'm not saying that other artists experience the same thing as me, but for me, no, I can't create high. I can't do it high.
It's it blocks it basically for you.
Yeah, I remember I did this picture and I'm working on it, I'm high and I'm painting and I'm thinking, wow, I'm doing something here. I'm like, I've got this red in and I got up the next morning, like, what the hell was I doing? It looked like shit. Yeah, I'm like, oh no. So in my mind, it was saying, this is cool.
Yeah.
This looks good. And I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking this picture, right? But I really wasn't.
Got you.
Yeah.
The highness was actually the delusion.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't create with being high.
Okay.
You know, I tried it. I really tried it because, you know, I thought, you know, maybe, yeah, it's going to be different. But my creativity comes from my mind when it's most settled.
Okay.
Yeah.
At peace.
At peace, yes, yeah. And then, see, the thing, too, with me is I don't like to paint a lot of times with noise. I'd
So not
rather
even
be
music.
quiet. Yeah. Sometimes there's no music at all.
Okay.
And sometimes I have music. But when I really get into something, pretty much it's quiet. I can go for 5-6 hours and not make any noise at all.
Got you. Because you're just so focused, so in tuned.
Then the thing now is that, you know, I do birds. I have a thing about birds,
I was going
hummingbirds.
to talk to you about that. Yeah.
I don't know how that came about. I don't know. I just sort of challenged myself to do 100 hummingbirds. And the first 100 birds I did, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing, as usual. And so I was really, you know, hyped up with it and stuff. And I was like, wow, I'm doing something. But then the second 100 hummingbirds sort of made me not so crazy about the first 100
Okay.
Yeah, because I seen the
Evolution.
I seen the evolution. It was massive. It was different. And then I did another 100. So I did a series of 100, another 100, and another 100. So it's like 300 birds.
Yeah, specifically hummingbirds.
Specific, my own idea of what hummingbirds mean to me.
Yeah, and I was curious because you took the next question right out of my mouth because I noticed that even in some of your other paintings, they would have like birds incorporated, like, and I saw on a woman's hat, I would see like birds like incorporated in like other imagery that wasn't really bird focused.
Yeah.
Besides the hummingbirds. And so is there a fascination with birds for you, or you just think it's just, you don't know where
I
it
don't
comes
know
from?
if it's a fascination. I just that they fit the design.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times when I'm making different designs, I can see the head of a bird.
Okay.
And so that's what, then I sort of purposely started doing things sort of fit the birds in there, you know? And I find birds interesting. I do.
Gotcha. And you know, and I think you kind of mentioned like a lot of your style of a design is kind of like a Chinese type of style, I think you were saying, of like,
They mean that design I was telling you about?
Yes.
The tidal wave?
yeah. And when I was looking at it before you mentioned that, going back to birds, it kind of looks like, for me, like the way a peacock's feathers look. A lot of the things
Yeah.
look like a bunch of peacock feathers put together to like a full image. Is that intentional, or you think that's kind of...
No, that's just the way it came out. I took the design and I've been able to use it in maybe 5-6 different ways. The one thing that I used to mentor this guy, God, what's his name? SK. We'll call him SK Simon.
Okay.
And he wanted to be an artist, and he was so excited about one day he's going to be an artist, and he would come to my shows, and he would sit there and watch and stuff, and he started going to this art academy in L.A., Figurative Art. I mean, they do some phenomenal work. And I hadn't seen him for a while, and he called me up one day, and he said, I need somebody to, as part of my graduation thing, I need a mentor that, you know, can kind of help me along the way. So I'm thinking to myself, ain't too much I can do for you. The guy is very talented, you know? So anyway, I go down, we sit down, we talk, and he's got all these portraits and stuff around. I'm like, wow, you really got good, man. He's like, yeah. He said, but something's missing. And he said, I don't know what it is. And I said, well, what's missing is you don't have your own face. I said, yeah, everybody in here is doing the same kind of artwork, and they're all very good. I said, but they can pick and choose whoever they want to do this. I said, because it all looks the same, to me anyway.
Yeah.
So I told him, well, you got to find your own style now. You've learned the technique, but now you got to find your own style so that when you do something, people automatically know that's you, you know? And it took me over 20 years to get to the point where I had my own style. I mean, where people will look at the stuff and say, oh, that's Maurice. I know who did that. I know who did that. Man, that was wow. I can't tell you what that felt like. To know that people would look at something and go, oh no, I know that's you.
It's good. It's kind of like seeing like a swoosh sign
Yeah.
for Nike.
Yeah, that's yeah. So I didn't want to be one of those artists that people say, your work reminds me of such and such. Your work reminds me of such and such.
Reminds me of Picasso.
Yeah. So, and I've been called, I have I have a friend who called me Black Picasso.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her thing with me. She don't even when I call her, she's like, "Oh, how you doing, Picasso?" That's how she talks to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Didn't Picasso get his influence from Africa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is that a lot of people think he went to Africa, and he didn't go to Africa. He went to an exhibition of African art. Okay, and that's where he got his idea of Cubism and that kind of thing, because it was a whole different way. I mean, he came up in very strict art,
tradition.
Yeah. I mean, but every artist knows at some point that's very boring. It's very boring. You can only create something look like something for so long, but then you would rather take that chair and do something different with it. Put designs on it and do something, instead of just a straight chair or fruit and that kind of thing.
I noticed in your art, sometimes there'll be like multiple things in it. For example, like I saw this picture of a woman, like it was her head, but then inside of her head was like a couple inside of it. And then I saw another painting where I think it's probably one of your jungle women you were talking about. But then on the side of her, there was like a baboon and then like an elephant.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, so
you really have been paying attention.
Oh, he don't know who he's playing with. He don't know. He don't know, folks.
No, you really pay attention. No, I'm impressed by that.
Better recognize. Thank you. Yeah, we don't play around here. We try to do things very seriously. And so, do you already see things like that when you're trying to incorporate multiple things into like a bigger picture, or how does that come about when you're creating?
It's sort of like grows. It's like a plant. It's something grows and you see something and just keep working with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I was talking earlier about my muse, my lady that I like to draw.
You never spoke of your muse. What's your muse?
Who is my muse?
Yeah, you said you have a muse, right?
Yeah.
Well, you never told us about that.
I did, but you didn't get it.
We must have missed it.
You did? Is that right?
I think we missed. Did we miss it, folks?
Okay.
Maybe I don't know.
Did I mention the lady that came up and I looked at her and she looked like my designs?
Okay, you never mentioned that she was your muse.
Okay.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, that's my muse.
Okay.
So you'll see a lot of my artwork. She has a great influence on it.
Okay,
on the women because of what she looks like.
Okay.
So how that inspires me to want to create around that. Okay. So there's been a lot of pieces that I've actually sit down and maybe within 1 year I'll just create pieces just based on that energy.
Okay.
Okay. And seeing what's strange about that is I've gone through a very dark period to a very illuminated period now. Okay. So I've come out of that hole that I was in.
Gotcha.
And she helped me come out of that hole.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So now the artwork is going to be even more exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess we gotta get into the muse, right? So obviously, since the muse is a human being
Yes.
with emotions, expressions, and different things, so does encountering your muse in different points in time and of her life and expression and emotions help you see your muse in a different way, which makes you create and express in a different way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Definitely. Because you begin to have a certain respect for the humanity in a person,
Mm-hmm.
and this allows you to release that same thing in you, that respect.
I love it.
Okay, because
I
a
love
lot
it.
of times that respect it was not there. So I try to make sure I keep, let's say, dignity within myself as a person to make sure I'm always treating a person the way they should be treated,
I love that.
whether you're a man or woman. Mainly be the women. The women. Yeah, I have a very high regard now for women.
Yeah, I think respect should go both ways, of course. And I think as protectors, we should definitely respect and take care of our women as men, and definitely for our women to respect us as well. We live in a society now, and you may see it or may not see it, but there's definitely tension between men and women that are happening, and disrespect, and even more so in the Black American community. There's a really big disrespect for one another. Um, but that's a different story and different conversation for another day.
Well, not really.
Okay, hit us. Hit us, Maurice.
We need to take care of our women.
Always.
And see, and I think that's one thing that's been taken granted for. I mean, we just feel they supposed to take care of us,
Yeah.
and they have this nature that's what they do. But at some point, I think women need to breathe. They need to rest. And so, if you're constantly having to work all the time, and then somebody on your head all the time, you can't be a woman. You can't fully be a woman
Yeah.
because you can't concentrate.
Well, you start to become more masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we as men, then we lose our sense of responsibility and our sense of how to protect, because there's nothing there for us to protect. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So me, personally, everything starts with me. I can't talk about what brothers ain't doing or what they doing. I got to talk about what I'm doing and how I'm affected by this woman and what it is I'm supposed to do in order to make her life easier. Because that's what we supposed to be doing. We supposed to be making our women's life. They really shouldn't have the stress that they have.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't have it.
It's also choice. If just to be real, like everybody has a free choice and a free will, right? So I think men should protect women if the woman respects the man. So there's no point there's no point in trying to protect someone that doesn't respect you. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
I understand perfectly what you're saying.
And so what I think, in my opinion, and what I've seen is that there's been a disillusion of roles, right? Because nothing works without roles, right? Order. Things work with order. And so I'm going to do this. And so, for example, and this is just my opinion, people may disagree with it. I'm a big person in the concept of that. The best way I can analogize is that men build a home, men build a house, women make it into a home. Man kill the meat, women makes a feast with it. So there's a role and symbiotic nature that people need to know when they know their roles to work fluidly. If a man doesn't want to do certain things and a woman doesn't want to do certain things, majorly speaking, and in my opinion, things start to not work. Things start to be disgruntled, unease. And that's when you have, going back to a woman being overstressed because he might be doing things that may not be working naturally for her role, which puts a man out of purpose. Men like to provide and bring things to women. But if a woman says that she doesn't need no one to provide, then it's almost saying like, I don't need a man, which inevitably brings that stress on. Right? And this can go on and on and on and on, but this is just my opinion. Other people may agree, other people may disagree. But there is also a correlation for, as human beings, we've been on this planet for over 10,000 years, right? And there's also understanding that within the past 20 to 30 years, things have been kind of going off because people have been disillusioned to thinking that they should do this and this, in my opinion, which makes things off.
You ever been married?
I have.
You're not married anymore?
Past tense, yes.
Okay.
I'm not married anymore.
Okay. How long were you married?
7 years.
7 years. I was married off and on for 13 years.
Off and on?
When I say off and on, we separated and then got back together. That's why I mean off and on.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yeah. It was just me playing with it because it's kind of like I was watching this movie, going back. I watched the 20 minutes here, left, came back. So it's like, does the 13 years really count?
Of course.
I mean, you know what I mean? It could be like, I was married for 2 years and then we separated for 2 years, came back for 2 years. So it's not like a full 13-year marriage.
See, I think with men is we constantly blaming women for our own failures.
I didn't.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not blaming men and women at all, in my perspective.
So, me, when I think back back when I was married, a lot of things that happened, my whole intentions weren't right. Going into the marriage weren't right. I had this sort of idealistic idea of what a woman was, who I was, what was going to happen, without even knowing something about this lady. It was more pleasure than anything, but it turned out to be more pain than anything. Okay. I was fortunate. I have a daughter, and my main thing with my daughter growing up was that being an artist, I wanted her to
be an artist.
I wanted her to be an artist. Okay, so that was the other thing. Here I got this whole idea of this child's going to do this child's going to do that. But at the same time, I'm teaching her to be independent. So I'm sort of contradicting myself because she got to a point where she kind of wanted to do her own thing, and I was like, wait a minute, you've learned all this stuff, and you don't want to pursue this, and it's like, nah, what do you want to do? I want to go travel. Where you get that concept at?
Yeah.
So I realized in being married and then having kids and stuff, and you sort of implement this whole thought process and without even considering what somebody else wants to do. And I think it had a lot to do with my marriage not really working. It's not that, I could blame my ex-wife or anything. It's just she was just being who she was. And then you get with this man and you have to sort of try to figure out where is he going in life, And she didn't see me as an artist going any damn where. So, at some point, it's like, wow, maybe I made a mistake, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her. I mean, it's just everything in life has sort of led me to the point of where I'm at now. So I'm cool, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Me and my ex, we talk now. So
that's good.
Yeah.
And I'll just speak one more thing about marriage. And so I think marriage is the biggest business contract that anybody can have in their life. And I think it's really important to have a conversation about what people want out of the marriage and what they look forward to out of this long-term business contract. Right? I consider it the biggest contract that anyone will ever go through in their life. I also believe that men shouldn't get married until their late 30s and 40s, and women should get married in their early 20s. And so the reason why I think this is because we live two different lives biologically and also accomplishment-wise. Usually men don't accomplish anything until their late 30s and 40s, and usually women are most productive in their biologically in their 20s. And so with this said, then people can both kind of address what they want in life and how one can provide, going back to a man being able to provide and a happy home and things like this. I'm also a big component as I get older on arranged marriage. I kind of think it makes sense. I know it sounds weird. I know arranged marriage, Western world. But usually arranged marriages, people know going back to marriage being the biggest business contract you'll ever be in your life, there's things that are set up front in the arrangement, like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. I know this man will be a good fit for my daughter. I know this daughter would be a good fit for my son, because the parents have already things. So that's just my opinion on it, and I realize it more because when you're young, you're probably in your 20s when this happened. When you're young, you're just like, men were thinking with our other head. We're not thinking with this head, and we probably haven't been taught or guided properly on how to be a good husband and what to expect in life.
We haven't been guided at all.
Yeah, and so.
But I disagree with you on the arranged marriages, because
Of course,
I've had a lot of friends from different countries that experienced this.
Arranged
and
marriage.
I haven't seen anybody happy with it yet.
Are they still married?
No.
Okay.
No. As a matter of fact, I just got through talking to one of my friends from Ghana, a good friend of mine who's been married 3 times, and her last husband just died. My experience in terms of being an artist and being around women is you really have to try to figure out how to let them be themselves. Because what I find with women will do anything for you, but they got to be treated a certain way. A lot of these guys, they spend too much time trying to do this, and they buying women flowers, and they doing this, and it's all pretty much bullshit.
Hilarious.
Yeah, so then now they figure, well, the woman, now you owe me this because I bought you this, I sent you on this vacation. You ain't got to do all that, man. You ain't got to do all of that, There's a certain respect that they have to feel from you, and they'll cook, they'll clean, they'll do any goddamn thing for you.
Yeah.
But if you're not that kind of mindset in a man, and you don't know how to handle the energy, it won't work for you. I don't care what you do.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to I think we agree on one thing, which is she has to respect you.
Yeah, and she's gonna respect you if you respectable. That's the thing. They talking about, well, these women, they didn't lost their mind, but you ain't gotta be worried with them, cause eventually they gonna come around, cause they gonna see so and so. Girl, why you so happy? Why they that's how women talk. They want to know why so and so happy and they not happy.
Yeah,
that's how they roll. So they're constantly in contact with each other, like to figure out different things. So I'm saying if we become more dominant in our kindness, in our compassion, in our understanding of this person as a human being, because they got to grow up in this world. They're not men, they women. I mean, just trying to understand what it is I'm supposed to do as a woman. What am I supposed to do?
Gotcha.
So if this man's not allowing this this opportunity for them to shine or them to be women, then they miss out. They become hard.
Are you a religious man? Are you Christian, Muslim, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
I know. Mm-mm.
The reason why I ask is because there's a belief in a saying that if you let a woman go too far on her own, that she'll basically kind of wreck herself. So that's why it's good to have a man's guidance, right? So there's a belief in a saying that the order goes God, man, woman, child, right? See, that's how the order believes, right? And I think this kind of relates to what's going on right now, is that a lot of women don't have good male guidance today. Men don't have guidance, but women don't also have good male guidance today.
Well,
to help guide. So I just want to hit just a couple of facts, right?
Okay.
So other countries have better, longer marriage rates, right? Not saying they're better, but their rates last longer, right? In America, the average divorce is pretty high, right? It's probably like 0.5%, right? In Black communities, Black Americans, since I'm speaking with the Black American people right now, we have the highest. And even more so, because I believe we're talking about mostly Black women, I believe, in this situation, in my opinion. So Black women are the least married and most divorced at the same time, currently, statistically speaking. This probably didn't even but during the times of your parents, they were the highest. So what do you think is the dividing factor between in the 50s
Okay, first of all,
to now?
the concepts in this world, I think, are a little strange. When you make an order and you say God, man, lady, whatever. So really, what is God? Is God something? Is it an energy? What is it? You know, it's that whole concept. You know, that we've been given. Europeans give us concepts, and it really screws us up. But when you think back, if you was to take all this away, nobody would really be tripping on a thing. It's just this energy that allows you to go out and jump in the water and grow food and stuff. You don't think about where it comes from. It's just nice to have it. And see, and then in America they think, okay, well, you've been married 60 years. What the hell did that mean? You wasn't even happy 60 years. So that's the other thing. Then they say, okay, well, in this country, these people have been together 60, 100 years, and over here, you guys can't even stay together 2 years. Man, but it's hell. It's hell. It's hell. Because we haven't learned how to relate to each other. That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's just that if men are in a position where women can be themselves, man, it's like paradise. Here we live in a world where we have water, we have air, and what do? We just completely screw it up, man. This is a paradise that we've completely screwed up. Think about that.
Yeah, not us personally, but definitely the system that we're under. And, you know, going back to 70 years of, I think that's the misconception, is people think that marriage is all about being happy, right? And it goes back to me saying about the contract. It's a contract of understanding, right? And so the purpose of marriage is usually to have a family and to raise kids, right? And to raise those kids in a proper upbringing, right? And there's no perfect marriage. There's no longer. You can ask anyone who's been married for 70 years, they're like, hey, have you guys been happy the whole time? Have you guys gone through you guys never went through any bullshit, right? Of course they have, right? That's just part of the plan.
I don't mean no harm, but I mean, where this going, man?
I don't know. We're just talking.
Oh, okay.
We're just talking. But
the marriage thing, I don't even want to deal
we
with
we gonna leave it. It's getting a little too topic about, you know.
No,
but
it doesn't have any relevance to me. I just, you know.
Yeah, we just got to the topic and we were just kind of just rolling, freeballing on it, and I was just giving my opinion on it, and you're giving your opinion.
Okay.
But let's get back to you and your work and your art, all right? So I did some research, and you were commissioned to do some artwork for Hollywood back in the day that was premiered on The Last Dragon, correct?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you remembered this process, but do you remember how it was working with those people in Hollywood? And the second part is, have you experienced any other commissions that were life-changing just like that one was?
First of all, it never had anything to do with anybody in Hollywood.
Hollywood didn't reach out to you?
No. See, it amazed me how stories come up about me, but I guess that's just the way it works.
And I guess it's good to clarify it now,
yeah,
right?
There were two gentlemen that owned a liquor store, Erwin and Harry, two Jewish friends of mine. And I used to always go in their store because I lived around the block. I lived in a Jewish community at the time, and they had little temples and everything. And there was an artist who had created a mural on what was actually not a wall, but it was a window, a big window. And so he kind of let it get old. He wasn't taking care of it. Paint was cracking and everything. So me and my great wisdom said to Harry, what if I paint something on there? I said, make something nice.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I don't know. He said, that other artist, you know, I have respect for him. You know, you have to talk to him. So I found the artist and I asked him, I said, how would you feel if I did something different? He said, I don't care. I don't care. He says, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm like, okay. So I went back. I told Harry, I said, I talked to him. He doesn't really care. So I remember whitewashing his this mural on the window, whitewashing. And the bus used to come down every day, and they were cussing at me. You piece of this and that, you know, they was really pissed off. They seeing me whitewash this dude's mural. They didn't like that. So every day the bus would come by and people would yell at me and scream at me this little 4-letter words and you this and that. And so I told Harry, I said, man, they really pissed off, ain't they? He said, yeah. He said, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want no black shit on there. That was what he told me. I don't want any black shit. I'm like, okay.
What year is this?
1982, I think. 1981, 82.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out something that everybody would like. So I figured clown. I do a clown. So I did a clown's face. And I started out, you know, painting it and I was catching a bunch of bullshit from it, people coming by and throwing shit on the wall. It was crazy. So anyway, as the clown starts progressing and becoming to life, now people are starting to like it. They're liking the clown. Mm-hmm. So I'm having celebrities come by and want to take pictures, Blair Underwood, different celebrities I never would have met just come by and just take a picture by the clown, you know. So it became like a center spot for people to come. And they came to Hollywood, they always came to the clown, took pictures.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then they came out with a book later, and they had the clown in the book, a book called L.A. And then they did some commercials with it and stuff like that. And I'm so excited, I'm not really tripping on the royalties behind it, you know. And so I lost a lot of money out. I lost a lot of money from that mural because I didn't understand, you know, royalties and stuff like that, you know.
This is before you met Bibbs?
Oh, yeah. So then I sort of went back into my own little world, you know. I was like, okay, cool, you know, that was kind of cool. Then they started doing music videos, DeBarge and them, you know, Rhythm of the Night. And I'm at home, and all of a sudden I see my clown come on the television. I'm like, wow, you know, that was kind of cool. But still, again, you know, I didn't make any money from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was really weird. There was a lady in L.A. who used to come by and she'd take pictures by the clown, and I end up meeting her later on in life, another artist, and she said, yeah, I've always liked your clown. And then, matter of fact, she kind of acknowledged how a lot of people use that clown a lot, even in art classes. And I found that it was a big thing in Fairfax, the art classes and stuff. That was the main thing. Like I say, commercials and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know if I just have a false sense of humility or whatever. Okay. And then every once in a while, I would, you know, try to see if I could get some money out of it. I think got a few $100 out the deal.
Do you remember her name, the artist?
Yeah, Lark. Well, I call her Lark.
Okay.
Yeah, she's prominent artist now.
Okay.
Yeah. So matter of fact, I just bought 2 prints from her not too long ago. I really like her work. Yeah.
So that experience, right, from doing the mural, has there been any other opportunities that were life-changing that were also like commissioned that you've done?
No.
Okay,
I've did little things here and there, but nothing like that clown. That clown had a really big impact. I mean, it was sort of a centerpiece in Hollywood at the time. That was a big deal.
Gotcha.
You know, tourists would come in, and I would watch people take pictures, and I felt good that I had offered a space that made people feel peaceful. Mm-hmm. You know, happy. You know, around the kids and stuff like that. And then growing up not growing up, but living in a Jewish community, that was sort of like a big deal too, you know. Because I remember there was these 2 Russian guys that would come by, and so they liked the picture. So the guy he said, I'll look out for your picture if you put my name on it. And so I ended up putting his name, Igor, and I forget the other guy's name. I put him on the picture. because I had a lot of problems with these, what do they call those gangs, with the spikes in their head. Anyway,
Okay.
there was this gang of these. It was run by a black dude, which was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I come one day to come to the liquor store, and somebody drew veins all in my eye, So I
Of
go,
the clown?
yeah. So I go
Okay.
back home and I get my paints and I come back, and when I come back, there's like 3 or 4 of these gang member guys with spikes all in their head, and they're going, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm taking out the vein. That's not what I wanted. Well, I like it the way it is." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So I keep on doing. And the guy says to me, "I think you should leave it like it was, 'cause I like it the way it was." And I said, "Okay." So then I put my paintbrush down. I said, "Listen, you guys don't like what I'm doing?" I said, "The person you should deal with is me. I said, you should take me out. Then you have to worry about the shit I create." I said, "Because other than that," I said, "I'm not going to stop." I said, "So if you're going to do something to me, you better do something to me now." And that dude looked at me like, "Oh, no, man, you're all right, you're all right." And I had no more trouble out of him. See, I think a lot of times with people trying to intimidate you is they want to know if you have any courage.
Got
Will you
you.
stand for you? Will you stand for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a lesson for me to learn also. I was a little bit scared, but I was pissed. I was
Yeah.
really pissed. I was more pissed than anything. And in those days, I was still wrestling and stuff. So I was ready to do it. I was ready to do it.
Take him out.
Yeah,
Suplex.
I was ready to do it, bro. I was ready to do it.
Stone
But
Cold Stunner him.
me and that guy became good friends, though. Gato.
His name was Gato?
Gato, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cat for those if you guys don't know
Yeah,
Spanish.
absolutely.
And he was black?
He's black. Yeah. And so that was kind of unusual because in those days, I can't remember what they called those people because there was like this whole culture of they wore black and they had spikes and they're strange looking characters. But
Gotcha.
they became cool. They became
Nice.
cool. So they sort of looked out for me and stuff like that in Hollywood. People were very, very kind to me in terms of knowing that I had did the clown.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I spoke to a lot of famous actors, back in the day actors. People would come up and talk to me. Sometimes I didn't know who they were. We'd sit there and hang out for the day and talk.
And just chop it up.
Jacqueline Bisset, who I was in love with that woman. And I'm painting one day, and she comes up, taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around, I almost fainted.
I was going to say, you probably almost fainted,
Man, I
huh?
almost fainted, brother. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, wow, yeah, Jacqueline Bisset.
Talk about surreal.
That was real surreal.
As we go back to you people being in awe of you painting by hand and all these colors that you're able to do just by hand. With that in mind, what is your thoughts on AI art?
I'm not a big fan of AI art. I think it has its place because in today's society, it's very good if let's say if you want to make children's books, write books and stuff like that, because it makes it so much simpler, time consuming. You don't have to worry about going in and painting this and painting that. You can pretty much touch a color and boom, create your whatever.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, it's wonderful. In the sense of being a fine artist, and they can pretty much create what you can create. But again, see, if I don't have hands on, it's not so simple to me just to point something and then a color comes. I need to watch the color.
Yeah.
Come to life. And then I think that's the difference. I don't see the life in it.
Yeah.
I really don't see the life in it.
Agreed. Yeah, because now for AI art, you can just type in keywords like surrealism, Afrocentric, futurism, and the AI will create that for you just off the top. That's what we live in right now.
Yeah. So, and then excuse me, it's easy for AI to copy you. And so, it's just like, you're in a class and you're having tests and you got somebody standing over you copying you and stuff. I don't need that.
Gotcha.
So no, it's if I can't feel it, then I pretty much don't want to deal with it. I've messed with it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's AR art getting really far nowadays. Even things called deep fakes.
And I like to be able to, we were talking earlier, create on different surfaces and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
the palm leaves and the clothes and the people and the rocks. Just trying to find stuff to create on.
Which is cool. I guess you probably were maybe in a different alternate timeline. Maybe you were a graffiti artist in a different timeline.
Never was a great graffiti artist.
I mean, like so when I say like a different timeline, like in like a different universe, maybe you were a graffiti artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in a different universe, maybe you're a graffiti
something
artist.
I don't know.
Because you like to draw, you like to paint on other things, right? People, other things. So maybe in a different timeline, you were hitting up graffiti art on the subways and the murals. Maybe just hit my mind, right?
No.
In a different lifetime.
No, the reason I say no is I know I have a high respect for people's property.
Oh, I mean, like respectfully graffiti art, like respectfully. Gotcha. Because I think graffiti has a bad name, bad rep. But I guess it's coming from like a guy who knows about hip hop culture and stuff.
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
see, you have a whole different look on it.
Yeah,
You know, I wouldn't paint on something that I don't really have permission to paint on.
Got you. But like, let's say if the shop owner was like, "Hey, I want you to paint on here," but your style was graffiti style. That's kind of what I meant.
Oh yeah, of course. Then you have permission. Then you have permission. I remember around the corner there was a guy, Jewish guy named, I think his name was Bob or something, Robert, and he had this shop. And so he said, okay, hey, at that time, the clown was popular, so he wanted me to come in and do something so he could get some attention. So I went up on the top of his house and I'm drawing this picture. And I'm not really thinking about it, and I'm putting in the color and stuff. And so across the way, there was a restaurant called the Blue Moon or something, Blue Whale or something.
Okay, that's a jazz spot?
No,
Okay.
you could eat food there.
Okay.
And these people would be there every day watching me paint. And so one day a guy came over and he was looking up and he said, hey, he said, me and my buddies, we got a wager going on as to what you're painting. And I said, really? He said, what are you painting? I said, I don't know, I'm just doing the design. I don't really know what it is. And he said, it looks like a vagina.
All right.
He said, is it a vagina? And I looked and I thought, I was like, yeah, it could be. It could be. So that's the other thing. I don't always know what my designs look like to people.
Okay.
Until I really look at it.
And then get a perspective.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, because I did, when I was in college, I did a wall mural for a lady, and so what we used to do is I go in, I do my style, and then the students would come, maybe 10, 15 people crowd the room, and they're all getting loaded, talking about what they see, I see a bee, I see this. That was the first time I realized that I had something that interested people,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
I think it was Bibbs that I was talking to where it's like, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but it's like sometimes the interpretation of what the art is kind of outside of the artist's hand after a while. Like you may have this vision of what your art is and what it was, but then people will have a different perspective from what they see.
Yeah, all the time. I've had people look at different art pieces and say, wow, I like how you did that, like design that looks like a shark or whatever. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then I look and then I can see what they're saying.
Talking about,
Yeah. Because I do a lot of what's called positive and negative space art.
Okay.
Like you draw a picture of a head, and then behind that is your negative space, and then you got your positive space, right? Well, I fill in negative space. That's where you see all the little intricate designs of this animal and that animal.
Yes.
That's why I use that like that, because why waste that space? So much space there. Let's do something with it.
Why not make it useful? I got you. You've been alive on this planet for 73 years, you're telling us, right?
Yeah, on January 1st, 2024, I'll be 73, yeah.
Awesome. By the grace. I love that. What are some of the achievements that you would really love to reach? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like to be in a position where I'll be able to.
Can you bring that closer to you?
Oh,
There you go.
I'll be able to help people that are more disadvantaged than me, whether they were homeless, whether they just had problems with bills. I would like to be able to, show up on Christmas Day or something like that and just fulfill somebody's dream, or be able to go out in the street and maybe 20, 30 people make sure that day they were warm or they had something to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about artistically? Like, would you like your piece to be like in a British museum or something like that, or have an exhibition in Europe or Africa, like any big?
Yeah, I'd like to have a international showing, and have people sort of see me on the same level as a Picasso or a Botticello. Yeah,
Okay, I love that.
yeah.
You know, we learned so much about you, and we know about the roller skating. We learned about the sports of doing wrestling. What is something that most people, maybe even close people, don't know about you, Maurice?
Well, they know now. It's that I sing. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know I sing.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's been a thing. Not too many other things. I mean, I'm pretty much quiet, to tell you the truth.
Okay, that's even more, probably even more why people were like, what does he do? What else?
Well, yeah, it's interesting you say that. There was a gentleman I met, and I can't remember his name now, but he roller skates too. He's a little bit younger than me, and so I met him, and so he was kind of tripping on me. I'm an artist, and so he'd come set up these events, these festivals, and okay, I see you can do that. And then we go out, and then he sees me at the roller rink, and he's like, "Oh, you roller skate too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I roller skate." And then I remember we did a festival at White Park, and I sing. And it was kind of a trip because a lot of people didn't know I sing. That I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, "I didn't know you could sing and stuff." Well, y'all didn't really care. I mean, that's Rudy Poot. You care what I do. But he came up to me and almost like in an angry kind of way, and maybe it's my interpretation of this, and he said, "Damn, what is it you can't do?" Almost like, what can't you do?
Yeah, so
That
damn
kind of
talented.
thing. Yeah. It was almost like I almost felt like he kind of was a little jealous.
Jealousy,
Yeah.
possibly. Yeah.
So anyway, I said, well, it ain't too much. I don't do it if I want to do it.
I like that. I would ask you to sing, but I don't think you're feeling that
No,
well.
no, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think you're feeling that well.
No.
Obviously you're always creating art and creating many things. What are some current projects that you're working on?
Right now, I'm working on an illustration for this lady's biography of her life.
Okay.
I
What's her
have.
name?
I don't know her name.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. See, here's another creative thing that I do. I call her Little Rock.
Okay. Like
That's how
Arkansas?
I remember her. No, she lives in some place called Little Rock, up
Okay.
north. Not up north, but up near Apple Valley somewhere. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I call her Little Rock. I don't even know her name.
Wow.
I'll be quite honest with you. I'm like that with people. I didn't even know your last name. I know Antonio because I had been able to talk to you quite a while. But yeah, I normally develop nicknames for people because that's how I was raised. Everybody had a nickname. I had a nickname. I still have a nickname. Yeah.
What's your nickname?
Mo, Reese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they just took the Mo
Yeah,
or Reese.
or Reese,
Okay, I
yeah,
got you.
Yeah.
Very creative.
The kids now, I have them call me Mr. Maurice. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Put the Mr.
kids.
in front of it.
Yeah, Mr.
like that.
Maurice. Yeah.
Got
so
you.
the kids. I didn't mention I have I work with a nonprofit in San Bernardino called is it Fighting Chance? Project Fighting Chance,
Okay.
run by a brother named Ian Franklin, and there's Terry Boykin. And so they have this nonprofit where they teach the kids how to box and learn how to protect themselves.
Okay.
And so again, my muse comes to me one day and says, "Hey, how would you like to start like a art class for these kids?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I've been working with this project, with these people for about 4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
I originally volunteered, and then they said, "Okay, we can get you some funds now." So I enjoy working with children. I really enjoy working with children. Yeah.
That's cool because now they get an artistic expression and then the physical as well, right?
Yeah, and so and I think it's important for men to be able to have that type of influence on a child, to make them want to go and do things in life,
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people, my thing is I've never really I'm not trying to be young. I'm just trying to be at a point where people, as they get older, they can feel good about getting older.
Amen.
Yeah, they can look at me and say, "Hey, I guess when I get that old, I can still do this and do that." That's what I like to do.
And that's good. Good to have that role model. I know, and I think it's kind of like I think it's probably during my age group, especially as a black young man.
How old are you?
40.
40. Okay.
When I was young, I never thought I would make it past 21.
Why?
It was just like normal. It was normalcy.
Really?
Yeah, the thought process is normalcy.
Wow.
Yeah. And I met other people who thought the same. It's like, yeah, like I'm not gonna make it past 25. It's normal.
God. Man, okay.
So going back to like what you're saying, for people to see you, talk to you, have influence, have a male father, have a male figure in their life.
Well, sometimes it's like a male father figure too.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
Helps a lot. Are there any other projects that you got going on besides the biography and the?
Yeah, I have. I just finished like my last portion of my birds. Then I have 2 other projects that I want to do on my own, which is one is sort of has to do with hummingbirds, not hummingbirds, but ladybirds.
Oh.
And sunflowers. So it's more of on a nature thing.
Yeah, plants.
And then I have another one that is basically sort of surreal. It sort of faces distortion and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I haven't. Those are in the drawing phase right now. I haven't really did anything with those. And I just finished 2 collaborations with Charles Bibbs, which they'll be coming out or be sold. And then I also there's a collaboration. I did 2 collaborations with an artist in Los Angeles called Kenneth Gatewood, who's a watercolor artist.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the other good thing is that I'm amazed that these sort of prominent artists want to work with me. It's like they like my work. It's like, yeah, I want to hook up with you. Let's do something. Yeah.
I think you have, what is that called? Imposter syndrome.
I don't know what that is.
You know what that is?
No.
So basically, it's like saying I'm not good enough. It's a term that they usually use in the work environment. It's like I'm not good enough.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think you have the imposter syndrome, but
Yeah.
I think it's starting to go away over time as you realize these great people want to be in your vicinity. They want to be in your orbit, as they say. They want to be in your orbit.
Well, this is the thing I'm beginning to realize. It's not so much if I'm not good enough. It's like, damn, you good enough that they wanna come deal with you. You that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that now.
Getting the reassurance.
Yeah. See, it used to be kind of thing. You wanna deal with me, but now it's like, damn, you good enough. They wanna come check you out. They coming to talk to you now, cause they coming to me. I ain't going to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and see, the other interesting thing was, last year, I get a call from Charles Bibbs, and he's like, "Man, they're using your art to advertise their product."
Without your permission?
Yeah, to promote their program. Man, you need to call them, blah blah, So here again, these people now are getting to recognize me in a different way, you know. It's like, so I went down there, I talked to them and stuff. So we
Got
got
it.
it. So their whole thing was like, please don't make a big deal. Next year we'll give you a free booth and da da da. And that. I'm like, okay, cool, that'll work.
Pay me.
Yeah.
Pay me. That's hey, where's my money? That
So,
should have been the statement. Where's my money?
And that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool.
Where my money? There's two things that I want to address, and I'm gonna. So I always thought it was interesting as for visual artists how to collaborate, because usually the styles are too different, and like how do you approach it? How do you approach collaborating as two different artists with two different styles?
Fortunately for me, the styles of these artists allow me a lot of creativity.
And freedom?
Yes.
Okay.
When it comes to Charles, he'll do a piece, and because of his style, there's almost this blank area I can work with. It has design in it, but it's the way, it's so subtle that I can actually implement my own designs without taking away from him. You know what I'm saying? So, and then later on, I'll show you the picture we collaborated on, which would be kind of cool when you have these kind of podcasts. If I was able to have visuals that we could talk about as we're doing this, then they kind of understand what I'm saying, which is cool. We don't have it, but it's cool.
We can always add it later.
Yeah. And then with the other brother, Kenneth Gatewood, who's a watercolor artist, I mean, that's just like, that's so simple to deal with him, because it's just like solid gradation. It's not a solid color, but there's darks and lights, and I love that. I love working with darks and lights, you know.
Gotcha.
That's how I learned how to use color in design. I looked at animals. And you look at an animal, all it is a gradation, dark to light, and then motif. That's all it is.
Okay.
Simple as that. If you really look at animals, it's also dark to light and then motif. That's all.
Gotcha.
So I got the project. I mean, it's like, okay, I got it. So whenever I deal with another artist's work, if his work is not real busy, I can pretty much do something with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when you mentioned you like working with darks to lights. It made me think about when you were in high school and you and your friends would talk to the white people on the street. It just made me think about that.
Well, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, it made me think about that for something. Another current project is, don't you have a project coming up in May next year?
Yeah, I have actually. It's one of my major exhibitions. I don't even have my card with me. It's a spring art experience,
Okay.
and my whole idea behind this is to present something to collectors and people who like to buy art, rather than people who just want to looky-loo. So I decided this year, along with the nonprofit I'm working with, that Portia Dillard is the CEO of. Okay, so I think Off the Chain Alliance is sort of allowing itself to kind of come together with me and produce this, because we work together so well. You know, we've worked together on a lot of different projects, paint and sip, stuff like that, different festivals and stuff like that. So with this project, you know, I'm having to put together a committee. You know, I'm having to go get me some sponsors, because I really want to put together a quality show where people can dress up and come out and have entertainment and have nice food and that type of thing. I just don't want to have the chips and dips and people come and, you know, la 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 la. No, I really want people to get to know each other. I want to have a panel there to explain to people the importance of buying art, why it's a very good investment in life, that type of thing. So I want it to be educational. At the same time, I want it to be fun. I want people to have a good time, and I want to make sure I keep the quality in it, you know? So I've been fortunate to know a gentleman called Luke.
Okay.
And,
Skywalker?
I forget Luke's last name.
Gotcha.
No, but him and his brother are involved in this place called Mind and Meal. It's a marketing firm, and just by sort of accident, we kind of ran into each other, and he's in love with me. I mean, he liked the work. He liked my whole ideas and stuff like that. He's always supporting me when it comes to terms of wanting to put art together, put projects together. He curated a show for me. I mean, just super support from him. Just,
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. I've gotten a lot of support from people in Riverside. So I really want some of the main people, the mayors and the people in political thing to sort of know about me. I've met, different judges and stuff that have bought work from me. So I know it's people out there that know of me, but it's just like you were talking to me earlier. It's just I have to be more active with my social media so that people know that I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here, I last few days, just before I really got sick, I did an interview with a gentleman out of Los Angeles.
Okay.
He was a photographer. And so we walked around Riverside. He talked to me about back in the day, how it was and stuff like that. Took pictures, and then we went and had something to eat, and that was about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know when and where this exhibition will be in May?
Yeah. It'll be at Mind and Mill. I don't have the address at the moment.
I see. It'll be in Riverside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what Prohibition is?
Yeah.
Right across the street, the big gray building.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's Mind and Mill.
We'll get the information. I'll put everything in the description for you guys.
So, and then I just want to plug my other little picture I did for Graham's barbecue.
Okay.
I have a little piece in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and people go to Graham's and stuff, so they get it. That's me. I met a couple in there the other day. We went there to eat when we're doing the the photography.
Gotcha. Grams is right there on the corner, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're sitting there, and the guy's interviewing me, and the lady goes, "Excuse me, is that your picture?" I said, "Yeah, that's my picture." And so she became, it's like, wow, I really like your picture. And then I guess her boyfriend or husband, and they were very nice people, older black couple. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's always nice to hear from your own people to give you compliments and to know that what you did made them feel a certain way.
Yeah, it definitely. It's nice to be appreciated for the work that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be a little like lonely, like being like out in the ocean by yourself, floating, and then every once in a while you get thrown a life raft. People see you, So it's
but I'll definitely give you the information on that show. So
yeah, and we'll put everything in the description
I'm bad
for people.
for names and dates and stuff like that. So that's why it's always good for me to have a poster or something.
Hey, it's all good. We'll find out and we'll put it in there for the people. So you have a question for me? Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, what was your interest in me?
What was your interest?
What was your interest? I met you, and so you could have just said, okay, well, whatever, and then forgot about it. And we met. You was nice. I was nice.
Yeah, remember I told you I saw your painting in there that had the hummingbird.
Oh, okay.
The woman with the hummingbird.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Okay.
That's what I was telling you. I was like, it really struck me when I saw the artwork. I was like, wow, this is amazing artwork. And that's why I told you right then and there. I was like, oh, you're the one that did the hummingbird one? Because I'm not sure how other people view art when they go to art shows, but I actually stand, absorb, try to understand what people are doing in their art and stuff like that. And some art speaks more than others to people. And then, we just talked, and I was like, oh, you're the one that did it? I was like, okay, well, if you would like to tell your story on our platform, because we like to talk with interesting people, interesting careers. And we kind of went from there.
Yeah, that's why I think earlier I said that you really pay attention. Yeah. A lot of people don't really pay attention. And I've had people come over and look at pieces and stuff, and I'll tell them, I said, well, did you see this and this and that? And they go, oh, I didn't see that. And then they start looking. They actually start looking at the piece. But you got it right away. You figured it out. You looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I actually like art.
Yeah.
And I appreciate art. And so I'm always trying to be like, okay, what is, first of all, like, what's happening? Is it affecting me? And then what's it trying to say for my, people interpreting art, people interpret art, right? How they see it. And so like, what is it doing? And so there were some pieces in the exhibit. We're talking about Charles Bibbs has an exhibit at the Ram Museum. I think it's still there.
Yeah, be there
And
till March.
till March, yeah. And so there were some pieces there that I was like, I don't get. And then there's pieces like, okay, yeah, that strikes me. And I think, and I have my own opinion about contemporary art. We won't get into it, but I think, in my opinion, art in all forms should not only affect the artist, but it should bring some type of emotional effect to people when they experience it, whether it's oral, visual, whatever. And so I'm really big on that. And so, Maurice, I want to thank you so much for being on the Empire. Let's say 100 years pass by from now, 250 years pass by, half a millennia passes by from now. What would you like people to know Maurice Howard as, whether it's art, family, having a muse? What would you like people to know Maurice as half a millennia from now?
Wow, that's a good one. I would like to be somebody that people can look up to in life and say, one day I wish I can do something like that. I would like to be a prototype for success. That's what I'd like to be. I'd like to know that, just like Muhammad Ali, all those people that had such an influence on my life, I like to have that kind of influence on the world. Not just on America, but around the world. That whenever I went somewhere, people know who I was, and in a respectful way, Yeah. So that's I'll just like make sure I have good vibes in this world that attracts people and makes them want to do better in life and treat each other right and help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amen. I like that. I like that. Maurice, I want to thank you so much. And, we're going to definitely start with that, getting your name worldwide by hitting up that social media.
Okay, well,
You know what I mean?
I think you guys are not gonna let me go on that one.
No,
No.
so you preached it into fruition. Now we just got to put our actions toward it and let it happen.
Well, I guess then that means you have a lot to do with it too. Then see.
We're creating content right now as we speak.
Yeah.
People are getting an in-depth view on who you are as we speak right now.
And this has been very comfortable for me. I have to tell you that. Yeah, I didn't know it would be this comfortable. I thought it'd be a little uneasy, but this has been real cool. I could do this for another 2 hours.
Yeah, and thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
That's the whole vibe.
No, it had a lot to do with you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the whole. Of course, that's.
Oh Lord.
His muse is here, but she was there. Just joking. Maurice, I want to thank you so much for being on here. Can you please tell everybody how they can find you, support you, get your art, make sure they stay in tune with you? Can you please let everybody know how they can do that?
You can get me on Facebook, Instagram, Maurice Howard 1951. I'm actually involved in the Charles Bibbs exhibition at the Ram. You can find me on the second floor. Just one piece, but I'm in there. And like I say, in around February or April, I'll be up in Los Angeles at the Pan-African Film and Art Festival.
Oh, tell us
So-
about that. We didn't hear about that part.
Okay. Every year, annually, they have what's known as an art and film festival up there. So they have a bunch of artists, painters, people who draw, people who do sculpture. But now the main focus has been on film.
Okay.
So they're kind of taking our little light away from us. But, it just depends on how you want to present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's around, I think, February, down around Black History Month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll
So
probably
I'll be there for about a week.
got you. And you'll probably post that on social media so people can find out.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I look forward to that happening, and then I get allowed some a lot of support from my muse and actually from my daughter.
Beautiful.
Because I realized how much she knows about me that I didn't know. So
Which
whenever I have Nisha Howard, whenever I have her around me, um, I don't have to do anything. She does all the talking. She knows more about me than I thought she did.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very good at this whole thing about selling art. So I definitely will have her, like I said, her and my muse around me at different points. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Anisha. Dang.
Oh, and I want to say one other person that I have a great respect for, and that is Elaine Bibbs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Charles Bibbs' wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I have a lot of respect for that lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a right-hand woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Cool. Awesome. And like I said, folks, I'll have all the links in the description. So that way you can just click on it. You can find his Instagram, which will take you to his page, and you can find everything there. I want to thank Mr. Maurice. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in and watching. I think we learned a lot today. You know, we learned about how he went to France as a child, and then, you know, he was basically lived in Riverside for a majority of his life. You know, he learned some wrestling moves so that way he can body slam people if they wanted to mess with him. Also, that his clown work that he did, not clown work, but a picture of a clown was done and known all over throughout Hollywood in the 80s. And damn, too bad he didn't get them royalties from it. But, you know, as they say, when one door closes, another one opens. So I guarantee more windows will open for that. We also learned that he has a muse, right? He keeps her close. I think she's even in the room, but he keeps his muse close. And we just learned so much about Maurice Howard. And again, I want to thank him for being on. I want to thank all you guys for watching and staying tuned. Please like the video if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Comment down below what you thought. You know, and you know, if you guys didn't know, if you want to help support the channel, liking and subscribing helps a lot. If you want to help us with some of those digital greens, we have CASHAPP and other things like that, which you can find the link in the description if you guys want to support. My name's Antonio D. Miles. Yes, the one and the only. And I wish I could get Maurice to sing with me, but I don't think that's going to happen. But
If your piano was here, I could do it.
I know. Hey, you know, we could do a cappella.
No.
Okay, no, you ain't going to do no a cappella. But yes, other than that, folks, we will catch you guys in the next episode, all right? Peace. I say it's my duty. Yeah. Is it my will? Yeah. To do what? Yeah. To do is right. I say. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, smart ass. Yeah, that's what we all need, brothers like you.